Welcome to Data, Dollars, and Dynasty, the podcast where data meets destiny. 3 voices, 1 mission, using data to build a dynasty. Next.
We basically go out and we find organizations, individuals who may be in need of some support. All right, these are nonprofit organizations, government agencies that may need some support in analytics or Gen AI, and let those kids serve those needs. And in return, the kid gets paid for that experience.
Plus,
we want to bring it to the forefront of how important first impressions are to organizations, individuals, and how to present yourself professionally. And we've seen so much growth in our students.
Now welcoming your hosts, Jeremy Sr., JJ, and Jaden.
Welcome, everybody. It's Jeremy Williams Sr. here. Thank you for joining our second episode of Data, Dollars, and Dynasty. I happen to have my co-host and special guest here today, co-host being Jeremy Williams Jr. and Jaden Williams. And we have special guests Claudette King and Corey Drummond. Claudette is our director of training programs here at SaNDAI Global and SaNDAI Cares. So today's episode is actually on a program. I think I mentioned it during the initial podcast, a program offered through our nonprofit. Program is called DataGen Scholars. We're going to talk a little bit about DataGen Scholars and why we think every high school kid, at least in America, should be enrolled in this program, potentially across the globe. So SaNDAI Cares, again, is our nonprofit arm of SaNDAI Global, the parent arm. And our mission is really to empower marginalized, disadvantaged communities across the globe and teach them how to leverage analytics, or data analytics and AI to better their lives and the lives of their loved ones. That's our mission. And our DataGen Scholars program is our first attempt in doing so. It was a program we started up last year with partnership with a high school here in Virginia. Our ambition is to get to 4,000 this year in a couple of different regions. And I'll talk about those in a second. So what is DataGen Scholars? All right. Let's first start with this. Okay. Data and AI, they're here. Okay. So many of you listening in, you've probably experienced data analytics and AI in some fashion. Maybe you experience more of the AI stuff, and you got these different applications out there, chatgpt. You got some things from Google called Gemini. It's a lot of different generative AI tools that have really hit the market the last couple of years. I think it's like 2,000 different applications out there, right? And it's just a treasure trove of opportunity, of learning experiences that can be gleaned from these applications. Now, here's the problem. There's just too many of them, okay? And these things are transforming how we work. The AI is, okay? So when we look out until tomorrow, here at SaNDAI Cares, we're saying, how are people who are in the dark, who are not in the know, going to be empowered to use these tools to better themselves and better their loved ones, right? So we took it upon ourselves to develop a program with the emphasis on youth that connects that youth to learning experiences that we think are going to position them for a better tomorrow. So how DataGen Scholars works is it's a 12-month program, okay? So we call a learn and earn program, meaning kids are basically getting paid to learn. Well, where did you get that from in America? Like, you absolutely very seldomly see programming that pays kids to learn. Now, it's actually a product of experience I had when I was in high school. I was in this program called Becoming a Man. And I joined the program because they were paying them to get A's and B's. And I said, I'm getting A's and B's already. I'll just join this program and do minimal effort and get paid. And that's what I did. But after a year in that program, I saw it differently. I actually benefited from that program. And so fast forward in my career, I want to do the same thing. All right. So we're doing something similar to what I did back in my high school. And so how it works is 12 months, we have 4 different modules, 4 different learning modules. We have a data analytics module where kids are basically asked to complete coursework, right? This is all virtual, by the way. Everything that we do in our program is virtual. So Kids don't necessarily have to come to a building per se. They do everything from an app, all right, from afar. All right, we have a partnership with this company called DataCamp, where DataCamp gives us licenses for free, essentially for all of our students to leverage, to learn about data. How DataCamp works is there's 400 plus courses in this thing, all kinds of courses. I'm not going to go too much detail about that on this podcast, but the courses that we have our kids take relate to data literacy and AI fundamentals. So they actually take these courses during that first module and they get certificates. So every participant in our program, within 10 weeks of starting the program, are required to have a certificate in data literacy and AI fundamentals via DataCamp. That's the first leg of the journey. So second leg of the journey, the second module is our Gen AI module. So again, data, Gen is connected in both of those experiences, data analytics and then generative AI. We at SaNDAI Cares have developed our own courses specific to 12 Gen AI technologies that we think everybody should know. So some of these look like chatgpt. We got Google Gemini in there. What do we have in there?
Right, we got Microsoft Copilot, we got Sora, Gamma. We got a good amount of tools that basically cover every single creative avenue that you can.
Yeah. So we got Gamma. Gamma's a cool tool that helps you produce PowerPoints, tell stories with information. You got a tool called Synthesia, right? It helps you produce videos, right? So these kids are getting hands-on experience with these tools for free, essentially, and learning how to use them. And this is all for a greater purpose that I'll talk about in Module 4. We have a third module, that's a career readiness module, where they also get LinkedIn profiles. So we help them create a LinkedIn profile. We help them perfect their resumes. We've expanded that module to include 6 or 7 different other specializations like social media etiquette and branding. All right, Corey, I tell you what, why don't you talk a little bit about that particular class or course and share with the listeners here how we think that's going to help the kids long term.
Yeah, so my seminar will be on building your own brand, and I cannot wait to talk to these students about this because they are a little bit younger than me. I'm 25, so they literally have grown up with social media, and I just want to teach them the importance of using that to build their brand professionally and just do's and don'ts.
So that's the whole point here. We want the kids to learn about all this stuff. We're going to give them a web presence via LinkedIn, understanding that some of them are already engaged in social media as is, but we don't want them to hamper their career progression based on unsavory social media posts. So that course really is around that. We got a couple other courses in there relating to networking, mentorship. We got some of our other partners, or a group called Girl STEM, based out of Richmond, Virginia, that we partner with. They come in and they do some courses on different STEM type careers that kids are able to pursue. We bring in special guests. These are career professionals that come in and talk to the kids. Claudia, do you want to talk more about that networking and the mentorship aspect of the career readiness module?
Oh, okay. Absolutely. So at DataGen Scholars, we like to emphasize how important relationship building and networking is in the overall scheme of the business professional world. So we want to just bring it to them in the forefront of how important first impressions are to organizations, individuals, and how to present yourself professionally. So with that, we've come up with some modules to show them step by step how to do that. And we've seen so much growth in our students from when we started it. And so we were so excited about that piece because, first impressions really, really do matter. And the networking piece is just going into, you just never know who somebody else knows and how they can help you in the future and how that can spiral into something larger. So we've just emphasized and ingrained that in our program. And so we're excited about that piece.
100%. So look, I didn't learn the value of networking until I got to my second degree program, my MBA program. I absolutely didn't know what networking was until I was in my late 20s. So we've seen value in exposing youth to that value of that network, pursuing mentorship earlier in life and what that means for the latter years of their of their high school years and the early years of their professional journey. So thank you for giving us that, Claudette, and apologize. Being a rookie podcaster, I neglected to have you introduce yourself to the audience. So you want to give the audience a few words about who you are, your background?
Now, for a quick commercial break to share some key program insights.
At DataGen Scholar, we're redefining education for the next generation of thinkers. Students master data literacy and generative AI, build real projects, and earn while they learn. We're not waiting for the future of education. We're building it. Learn more at datagenscholar.com.
Now back to the podcast.
Yes, I'm Claudette Keene. I'm the Senior Manager of Training Programs here at SaNDAI, and I've been in education for over 20 plus years. I started off as a after-school programmer in the sector of middle school programming. So I started off with that, and then I went into education on the Loudoun County public school sector as a substitute first, and then I went in and started as a study hall manager. So I've kind of been in the school education field for quite some time. I've also seen lots of things because I've worked in the elementary sector as well as middle school, some high school. I'm more into the high school and digging into that through the DataGen Scholars program. So it's completing my avenue as far as touching each grade level. So that is a great perk to this. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thank you for adding that. And then on that GSTEM side, I want you to talk a little bit about that partnership, Junior, if you could. I mean, one thing we've noticed and one thing we'll talk about in future episodes is the value of partnerships. No one can do anything really by themselves. There's always other entities or individuals involved in anyone's success. So part of our success to date has been the partnership with Girl STEM. So I want you to elaborate on that partnership a little bit, Junior, and share with our listeners how that partnership has benefited us.
Of course. So GSTEM stands for Girl STEM, and they're one of our many close partnerships and they focus on helping girls to get into STEM careers as science, technology, engineering, and math for all of the listeners. And it helped them to basically get into that and learn about it. And then, of course, hopefully pursue it when they do decide to go after their first degree or even their second degree. So what they do for us regarding our program is they come in, they typically have a guest speaker that they have at their events. So, some of the guest speakers have been from NASA. Some of them have been from other organizations that are widely recognized over here in the U.S. as well. And all of these individuals that come in and speak at these events, they help the students to really gauge the importance of STEM-related careers and just get a foundational understanding on how it can help them to prepare themselves when they do decide to go after that STEM-related major in college and whatnot. So they've been extraordinary in helping us to further our STEM curriculum. And I did want to mention one other partnership as well, and I think you can probably elaborate on this, but it is VR related. So it's a group based out of Columbus, Ohio, and their name is Minority Tech Alliance. And essentially what they're going to be doing for us regarding our program is coming in and helping the students to explore careers, but in a virtual environment. So that's going to entail students having to put on VR goggles, and they'll be able to interact with major careers, whether it be factory, construction, whatever it may be. They'll be able to
cool as well.
Yep, and interact with those in a VR environment so they can basically get that hands-on experience without necessarily having to be at a specific location.
Yes, indeed. So that career readiness piece is really around partnerships and then just teaching the kids and exposing the kids to different bits of information that will propel them forward. So again, those first three modules, data analytics, Gen AI, and career readiness is what that kid experiences during the first 6 months. Career readiness is something that extends beyond the initial 6 months as well. But the first 3 to 6 months is really around them learning. And along the way, they actually get paid. We have a thing called the money menu. If you pass a certificate or if you set your LinkedIn up, right, you get so much money for that. So kids basically get paid for completing these different tasks during that first phase. At month 6, they're asked to pass an exam. So we give them a quiz where they basically are asked to score themselves on their past learnings. And if they get a successful score, they then move to module 4, which is our AI aids program. This is where we actually make them into an aid and give them the ability to actually earn for themselves using our platform. And so how that works is we basically go out and we find organizations, individuals who may be in need of some support. All right. These are nonprofit organizations, government agencies that may need some support in analytics or Gen AI. and let those kids serve those needs. And in return, the kid gets paid for that experience. One of the key aspects of that AIA's piece is that each kid is required to do 10 hours of community service. So we also have that aspect in there as well of doing good for community first. All right. So again, DataGen Scholars, 4 modules, learn and earn program. We think that every kid in America, just given where AI is going, should have the privilege of being in this program. Funny thing is this, we planned last year, we had goals last year, and how it worked out, sometimes you don't necessarily achieve your goals, but we always set ambitious goals for ourselves. And even if we miss those goals a lot or little, we're still achieving great success. For our programming last year, I think one of the things that we have learned is that in terms of a challenge, it's much easier for us to concentrate on regions as opposed to attempting what we attempted last year, which is to have a presence in every state, even across the globe. We wanted to have presence across the globe. Just from a logistical standpoint, it became kind of challenging for us to serve kids in a bunch of different states. And we initially went that direction. And we had a lot of kids from outside the U.S. apply to the program. I think we have about 30 or 40 kids now that are on the quote unquote waiting list. But to confront those logistical challenges, we decided that we need to focus on markets. And so what we're doing for 2025 with DataGen is we're targeting the Northern Virginia marketplace. So we're going to try to get 1,000 kids here in Northern Virginia, and we're going to try to get 1,000 kids in Washington, D.C. But then we have a partnership with the consortium group out in Texas. It's going to give us proximity to a bunch of schools over in Dallas, Texas. So we're looking to get about 1,000 kids in each of these regions. And that journey starts for us next month. Right? We're going to invite these principals in from these schools into sessions to learn about the program and see where that takes us. So for us, in terms of you as a listener, if you're not keenly aware of data, what that means in terms of how AI is configured, we have a bunch of free content that we offer. One of our missions is to bring knowledge to as many people as we can. And I think that's all I have on DataGen. Did I miss anything?
Maybe we can talk to the updates, or I'm not going to say it's the impact of the program thus far. So we want to basically serve everybody. So again, when it comes to who we classify as being underserved, there is no, I guess you could say, permanent label for that, right? Anybody can be underserved regardless of your financial background or even the color of your skin, right? So some of our students, they come from families that make less than $30,000 per year, whereas some of our students, they come from families where their parents went to Ivy Leagues and whatnot. So there's a wide range of students in our program that come from varying financial backgrounds. As far as gender, there's a pretty even split with our students thus far. We have more females than we do males, but everybody is interested in the program. And as we mentioned earlier, as far as interest and where it's specifically coming from, we got students all over the globe. Some of these students are in India applying for the program, Pakistan, Russia, China, Indonesia, Colombia. We're getting applicants from everywhere except Antarctica. So again, there's a huge interest around the program. And I believe that students are really seeing how this can benefit them. And even our current students, right? We got about 120, a little bit more than that, but 60% of the students have already obtained their AI literacy and data analytics fundamentals. So the students, they understand exactly how important this initiative is, and they understand exactly how it can impact them going forward. So we really just want to get into as many schools as possible, but we're going to focus on those main regions that my father did mention earlier.
All right, so Jaden, just your perspective on how this AI is affecting youth. What's your thoughts there?
So as a college student, I think it's definitely been a big shift. Our issue comes into play due to a lack of focus on AI literacy in today's educational systems. We don't really put emphasis on preparing students for tomorrow. So I think that's exactly what DataGen Scholars can do. Come in and fill the void for these students who are coming up in a world where it's shifting from using Google search to chatgpt, pulling that up on the computer and doing queries in a second and getting access to infinite amounts of knowledge. For those who don't know, chatgpt was released in November 2022. After 5 days, it reached 1 million users. And within 2 months, it was at 100 million users. So just by those numbers, you can tell that this stuff is not going anywhere. It's going to be here to stay. It's future oriented. So like I said, the program is definitely going to come in and help these students get the knowledge that they need. Now, for a quick commercial break to share some key program insights.
Imagine a world where every student, parent, and professional has access to the tools shaping tomorrow's economy. That's what we're building at SaNDAI Cares, a movement to democratize data and AI education for all. Join us in empowering communities to create, innovate, and lead through technology. Discover how you can get involved at SaNDAICares.org.
Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, I actually neglected to mention this. Part of that Gen AI module is on ethics and responsible use. So it's one thing to give a kid keys to the car, but you need to also give them ways to drive that car and use it responsibly, right? So we do that here. Part of the program is to introduce them to what these technologies are about, specifically the ones that we think hold the most value. And as I said before, it's about 12 of them there. But we also teach them to use it ethically and responsibly. So AI is opening up a huge way for us to rethink how education is conducted and offered. But with that comes a lot of responsibility. So again, we preach that to the kids as a part of that module. And when they take that test, that graduation test, if you will, to become that AI aide, they're tested on those ethical principles. It's about 10 of them, and responsible use principles. So what we're going to do, this DataGen piece, we just think this is a huge opportunity for our company, for our brand. I think it's a huge opportunity for school systems across America. Schools aren't required to pay. So this isn't one of those pay to play kind of things, right? Our initial investment in this program has been purely from our company. Okay. And as we pursue scale, we're going to, of course, look for opportunities to raise monies from states and maybe the federal government. Potentially, I know things are going a different direction there. But definitely local communities, corporate partnerships, organizations. So we see that being an opportunity for us to gel as a nation, if you will, to empower our youth and to give them another opportunity to learn such that it benefits their tomorrows. So we're going to be doing in a future episode, we have a couple episodes that we have dedicated to some of our kids coming in. We had about 3 or 4 kids that we're going to bring in, maybe more than that we're going to bring in and have them talk a little bit about their experience. We really want DataGen Scholars to be something that is in every classroom. Every high school student should have the ability to participate in a program like this. And we hope that by you listening, maybe we touch something in you or touch the emotion, and maybe you're interested in learning more about the program. Maybe you are a principal of a school, you want to learn more about the program. We recommend you reach out to us. There's a lot of different ways to contact us, but get in contact with us, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Data, Dollars, and Dynasty. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the individual speakers and do not reflect the views and opinions of SaNDAI Global or SaNDAI Cares. Visit us on our website at datadollarsdynasty.com to learn more about our companies and our priorities. Also, follow us on social media at Data Dollars Dynasty. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks again for tuning in. We look forward to catching you on the next episode.